January is here, and that means it's time for Cramuary, where you take your big New Year's resolution-sized goal and accomplish it by cramming it into one super productive month. It is possible. But even if you plan to do your Cramuary goal in a different month this year, you can still be a part of my Cramuary by becoming a patron. I'm expanding upon 24 subjects that don't quite fit into the upcoming Your Creative Push book and offering those pieces of writing to you, my patrons. Not just to hopefully inspire you, but also to get your feedback and direction for upcoming YCP short episodes, the YouTube channel, and further content. Head to yourcreativepush.com/Patreon to support the show and to be a part of the upcoming, much more interactive Patreon experience. And thank you so much for your support. Your Creative Push, episode 321.
You have to fight for your creative life. It's very important and almost essential to make time for doing whatever you love doing.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngmin Brown, and my guest today is Lily Hevesh. Lily is a professional domino artist who produces weekly videos on her YouTube channel, Hevesh5, while also doing professional projects for companies, ad agencies, brands, schools, and others seeking domino art. She currently has 600 million total YouTube views and 2 million subscribers, making her the #1 most subscribed domino artist on the internet. And she comes on the show today to talk about how she first got interested in domino art and her video that went completely viral, getting 3 million views in the first 2 days. She also talks about the business opportunities that came as a result of her channel growing, and also how much planning goes into each of her elaborate projects. She also talks about some of her methods of making complicated words, logos, and images with dominoes, and also the way that she's able to limit the damage in case disaster strikes. She also talks about some of the opportunities that have come her way since creating her YouTube channel, like being able to travel the world, showcase her domino art to many people at events, and also the experience of working on Collateral Beauty, that movie with Will Smith. And finally, Lily dives into her YouTube channel itself and how posting content every week has given her a career, but also allowed her to cut down on her perfectionism. I had such a pleasure talking with Lily because I am obsessed with her videos. They bring me so much joy, but it was also such a delight to talk to somebody who's so young. She's only 20, but somebody who thinks 5 levels deep. She doesn't take the opportunity that she has for granted at all. She treats it like a professional, and she also is a visionary. She's able to see where she wants to go from here. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Lily Hevesh. Lily, welcome to Your Creative Push.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, I've been really excited to have you on. When I was a kid, my buddy and I used to set up dominoes, and it would take all day. And then I just remember the joy of knocking them down,
Yeah.
just hitting that one and watching it happen. And, you know, the little tricks that we set up, which is nothing compared to the projects that you do. But I was wondering if you could just let us know how you got started into this whole domino art.
Yeah, sure. I was at my grandparents' house, and they had the classic set of 28 dominoes with the dots. It was just the normal game of dominoes. And then I just took them out. I started setting them up, knocked them down, and I really liked watching them fall for some reason. It was just kind of hypnotizing for me. So I went on YouTube, and I searched dominoes, and I found literally hundreds of videos of people setting up like thousands of dominoes and spelling out words and building towers. And I was amazed. Like, I had no idea you could even do any of this with dominoes. So literally after watching hundreds of videos, I got some more dominoes. I was like, Mom, Dad, I need some more dominoes. Like, I need to try some of these tricks that I saw online. And I got dominoes, and I just practiced the tricks and kind of replicated them to get an idea of, you know, what were other people doing? Maybe I could try that as well. And it kind of became an obsession from there. I loved the aspect of building something and and then knocking it down is, of course, the best part, because you build it to knock it down. So it's always a game to see, like, is it actually going to work? Like, will it actually fall the way that it's supposed to? So I started posting my domino videos on YouTube kind of at, like when I first started building. And, there were tiny setups, maybe like 50 dominoes each. And then slowly, I got better. I got more dominoes and my projects got larger. I started getting more views on my YouTube channel. There's this whole domino community on YouTube of people setting up dominoes and filming the topple. And we would always comment on each other's videos and be like, hey, that was a cool project. Like, I love that trick. And we'd like kind of learn from each other. It was a very positive place to be because we were all doing this weird hobby and we could share it together online. And eventually, the more I posted dominoes, the more people kept commenting like, this is so cool. And that just kind of motivated me to keep posting videos. And eventually in 2013, I believe, one of my videos called Insane Domino Tricks went completely viral. And that kind of launched my YouTube channel. It's called Hevesh5, which is my last name, Hevesh5. And then it got like 3 million views in the first like 2 days or something crazy.
Whoa.
Like it like spurred a lot of things from that. I started getting business inquiries. People wanted me to do logos out of dominoes for their company, wanted me to do events and various things like interviews. And I was like kind of mind blown. So yeah, that launched my channel to probably like 200,000 subscribers within a couple months after it going viral. And now I'm actually doing YouTube and dominoes full time. So I get to set up dominoes and travel around the world doing projects for companies and kind of just make it my own thing. I'm building this business centered around dominoes and it's so fun. I couldn't have asked for a better job, and it's all thanks to everyone who has subscribed and continued to watch my videos. So very grateful for that.
That's so cool. And my favorite part is how it just started out with the 28-piece domino set, and then spurred into something so huge. And also it started from something that just piqued your interest, that became an obsession, that eventually ended up becoming like a career. Did you even think that was like going to happen when you put up that first video?
Oh no, I had no idea. It just kind of happened, but it was a domino effect.
Yes. Perfect.
Started with 28 dominoes and it just got bigger.
Oh, I love that. It's such a good analogy for kind of the creative life. And what you do is so creative. It takes you many days, right, to set up some of the more elaborate topples.
Yeah, some of my domino projects can take a couple of days to even a week sometimes. But the longest one that I've done had, I think it had 30,000 dominoes, and it took 2 weeks for me to build.
Like, how much planning does something like that take?
It depends on the project, but sometimes I won't plan a setup at all. I'll just kind of start building and see where it goes. And to be honest, I find those more fun to build because it's more spontaneous. And if you plan it too much, it can seem kind of boring and over planned in a way that it's not exciting. But sometimes I'll plan out every single domino. Like when I do a professional project, they usually like to see a floor plan just to see how it'll look before I actually build it, which makes sense. So I'll draw it out on Photoshop. I'll insert images and field plans that make images out of dominoes, and then they can see exactly where each domino will be. So it kind of ranges depending on the project that I'm doing.
And then how, like when you digitally draw it on Photoshop, how do you kind of translate that into dominoes so that the dominoes are there, but they'll fall in the order that you want?
Right. So on Photoshop, I'll either put like an actual image, like a photograph or clip art image of whatever I'm going to build on the screen. Other times I'll use a program on Microsoft Excel. And what you can do is resize the cells to the size of a domino, and you insert an image into the program, and then that'll translate that almost into like a pixel art image on Excel. So it'll fill each cell to a domino color, and then it'll give you directions on exactly how to build that domino field. So it'll say like row 1, 3 red, 4 black, 1 green, and so forth until you have the entire image. And that's how you make complicated words out of dominoes and complicated images. sometimes I'll paste that image into Photoshop directly, and then I'll print out the field plan so I know how to build that. But it's not like a super crazy, super detailed plan. It's more of a general layout for me. Because I feel like even though I do plan it, most of the magic happens when I actually start building and I can see it on the spot.
And, as you're putting all these dominoes down, like you said, it could take up to 2 weeks to complete the project. What are you thinking about the whole time? Are you thinking about, oh gosh, is this going to work? Like, how many points of failure are there in each section that you
Right.
kind of worry about on on the big day?
Yeah. When I'm building, I'm like a mixture of hopeful, like I think it's gonna work, and also like kind of nervous, like okay, this better not fail. Like I've spent so long setting up these dominoes and planning it. Like I hope it goes the way that I planned. But what I do is I take out gaps of dominoes. So I'll take out like 5 consecutive dominoes here and there. And in case I knock it down by accident, it'll stop at the gap. So it won't ruin the whole thing. And that can prevent a lot of fails along the way. I've knocked it down so many times, and safety gaps are like the biggest thing that has saved my butt. So yeah, that's just a neat little trick if you're ever building dominoes.
And then how nerve-wracking is it on the last day when you're putting back in those safety gaps?
Yeah, that's the most stressful part. Because if you knock down a domino while filling the safety gaps, like you're not safe anymore. You can just knock down the whole thing. So I always make sure that I'm extra careful when I'm filling in those gaps. I have to make sure, like, okay, where's my body when I'm placing these dominoes, because I don't want to hit anything. Where are my arms? Where's my hair? I got to make sure everything's like tied up and I'm able to reach the safety gap in a way that I'm not climbing over dominoes.
Right. Especially when you have to walk through the thing. I imagine it's like a spy movie or Mission Impossible where you're like avoiding the lasers.
Yeah.
So you don't knock them down.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that. But if it's a big project, then I'll tend to fill in safety gaps a little bit as I go so I don't have to walk into the setup.
Right. Well, even with the safety gaps there, I have seen a couple, I guess, clips where somebody was able to capture a mess up. And some of them look like, there's just one where you're like, it looks like you're like 2 stories up and on a ladder and the whole thing just topples down. I can't imagine how long that particular section took you to make. So what is that? Like, how do you get past that? Because I imagine that's a very special form of sadness. Like when a painter makes a erroneous mark on the canvas, they don't get to watch the rest of the canvas just also have like, just get splotched for the next 60 seconds. So like, how do you get past that?
Yeah, when it fails, building dominoes, I always tell people like failure is part of the process itself. Like it's bound to happen that you're going to knock down some dominoes and it's going to topple over. And you just have to learn that, how you deal with that failure is really what matters. Like sometimes I'll rebuild the project straight after. Sometimes I'll try to edit the video if I can, or I'll just, I'll make a new project, and that's just kind of the way it goes. But even if it does fail, everything's a learning experience, and you can take that failure and be like, okay, like how did it actually fail? Did I knock into it by accident? Do I need to be more aware of my body? Do I need to change something? Like whatever happens, you can use that as an opportunity to get better in the future. And that's kind of how I look at it.
What is that feeling like then when you get to the end of the topple and you're ready to actually topple? What's that feeling of knocking that first domino down? Is it like anxiety? Is it like jubilation?
It's a mixture of sheer excitement and also a lot of anxiety. When I'm filming my projects, sometimes I'm like shaking, like my hands will literally be shaking as the dominoes are going down. My heart starts racing so fast, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope it works. I hope it works. I hope it works. And I'm like, in my mind, crossing my fingers the entire topple.
Now, do you get somebody else to film for you?
Usually not. I'm typically the filmer just because filming dominoes is very specific. You have to be ahead of where the chain is and you need to know exactly how it's going to work. But sometimes I'll have people like hold a camera, or like I'll like put tripod cameras on the ground and things like that. But usually it's just me.
And how long did it take you to kind of learn how to work the camera so well? Because that it's very impressive to watch the camera work as the dominoes fall. Like it really tells the story for the viewer, which I think, sometimes it can be confusing, but the camera actually shows you exactly where you're supposed to be looking at the exact pace. It's like kind of a beautiful thing. So how long did it take you to figure out how to work the camera so effectively?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would say maybe like 4 or 5 years. Even
Really?
still, I'm like, well, I don't know. It depends on like how like experienced you mean. I've gone through like 4 different cameras throughout the years until I finally found the one that I like. But even still, I'm learning new things about cameras, and I'm evolving and getting better at filmmaking in general. But I do think that the filmmaking aspect is almost just as important as the domino project itself, because if you can't show it in a way that makes it look beautiful and makes it easy to follow, then you can't enjoy it. So I value both sides of building the dominoes and showing it off through filmmaking.
Right. Now, once it's all over, you've got your successful video and you're able to share it and everything. What's the process of cleaning up like? Like, because I imagine you want to keep everything organized. I've seen your bins of, different colored dominoes, and I'm sure there's different sizes and everything like that. What's that like?
Yeah, so when I'm done with a project, I'll clean it up by color. Every domino color goes in a certain bin, and the bins hold about 1,000 dominoes each. So I just like sit on the floor, maybe play some music, and then pick up each domino in handfuls and sort them if I need to, put them back in the bins. And, it actually doesn't take as long as people think. Maybe like an hour or two, or a couple hours if I have to sort colors, but it's really not that bad, although it is my least favorite part.
And does your back hurt at any point in this whole process? Like, I imagine bending over, and do you have methods for dealing with like the physicality of this process?
Yeah, after building for a while, like my back will start hurting a little bit and I'll have to do some stretches. What I do sometimes is I'll just like go on my back with my legs up and just like stretch out my back flat on the ground. I don't know if that actually helps, but I feel like it does. But that's kind of all I do. I try to get exercise if I can. Hopefully that helps. But I don't know. I should probably see someone about my back. Might be an issue in the future.
Right. Well, you're young enough that it somehow our bodies when we're young can deal with anything,
Yeah.
whether it's like a weekend of partying, or just not exercising, or just being able to bend over and do dominoes all day. To be young.
Yes, indeed.
Well, you've also had some amazing opportunities traveling, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you also got to work on a movie. So could you talk about that?
Yeah. During my senior year of high school, I was asked to help with a movie featuring Will Smith. It's called Collateral Beauty. And in this movie, Will Smith is a domino artist. Like that's his thing in the movie. And they hired me as the lead domino artist to come in for 2 weeks. It was at a soundstage at Silver Cup Studios in New York City. And I hired 2 other of my friends who build dominoes because it was such a large project. And what we did was we built the opening scene with, I don't know, maybe like 10,000 dominoes. And it shows Will Smith walking away as the dominoes fall over. And it like, you see the credits, or not the credits, the opening credits of all the actors and directors pop up, and the dominoes are in the background. And they use dominoes as a theme throughout the whole movie. So, yeah, we had to do a couple of takes, not because they didn't work, but because they needed like a variety of shots. But it was such a cool experience. I got to meet the whole cast there, and Will Smith was so nice and super cool. And, I was doing what I loved, and I was on a movie set, which was crazy for me. I've never been on anything like that to that extent, like a Hollywood movie. And then when the movie came out, they even invited me to go to the premiere, and I was able to walk the red carpet in London with the whole cast. And like, I wasn't even in the movie. Like, I was just a builder doing this domino thing, but they considered me as part of the cast, which was pretty crazy. That was definitely one of the best experiences that I've had so far. And it was overall just great.
Well, I disagree. I'd say that you're very much in the movie because that's such a character,
Mm.
What was it like, though, that, Will Smith gets to flick it over and start the whole process and get all the credit for it? And then he just walks away.
Yeah, I know.
Could you imagine a domino artist that doesn't, like, watch it happen?
No, I can't. You'd have to be so, I don't even know. That's like you build a setup, you spend like days doing it, and then like someone else knocks it down on purpose. It's like kind of like that. Yeah. And you don't film it either. You have no record of it.
Does that grind your gears?
Yeah, it does. I never do that. I'm like, as a domino artist, you have to watch it fall.
Right. Well, talking about some of the other opportunities you've had, and obviously this has become your career, your thing, but you've had the opportunity to travel all around the world sharing your domino art and getting different gigs. So what has that been like?
Yeah, traveling around the world, it's been crazy. It's been so much fun, though. I love traveling and seeing new places, and especially when it's with a brand that I really like. For example, a couple of months ago, I recently did a project for Disney, and we set up 30,000 dominoes with the theme of Toy Story Land because of the new attraction that opened up there. And that one was so much fun because a lot of the props that they used were props that I would normally use in dominoes, like connects. We use that a lot. We use bridges and staircases. And the opportunity that I've had to travel has really opened up a lot of possibilities. You can technically do anything with dominoes. You can make a logo. You could build words out of dominoes. You can do marketing messages, things like that. And traveling is probably one of the best parts about my job. And yeah, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do that. But sometimes I hire other builders too if it's a really big project, because sometimes I can't do it on my own. And that's always fun because we get the whole team together, and it's like the domino community meeting in real life every couple of months or so. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I imagine also having there's very few people that can understand the problems that occur at the scale that you're doing things. 30,000 dominoes, like that's an insane amount of work and stress. So being able to have those kind of comrades that understand exactly what you're going through must be so helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Having people that understand domino language is like amazing, because before, like, nobody in my life, nobody that I knew had any idea like what I was talking about when I would talk about dominoes. And now there's people who actually get it, and I can like connect with them in that way, and we can build together. So pretty awesome.
Right. And on the podcast, we talk about so often, learning from other people, or kind of emulating the people that you look up to or that you respect, and then trying to, do something that they do, but in a different way, putting your own spin on it. And I assume that, having those other people, those other domino artists that are, trying new things, and then you're like, oh, wow, like that's a great idea. And then putting your own spin on it, like really elevates the whole kind of art form as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the domino artists have their own distinct style, which is super interesting. Some people like very like perfect lines in their setups, like right angles, like everything's perfect in their big projects, which is cool. Some people like curvy lines, and they're more spontaneous with colors, and that's also cool. It's weird because when you watch a channel or when you watch a domino video, you can pinpoint who built what section. If it was like a domino event, for example, and we all built a big project, you can tell who built what. because everyone has their own unique style and we all learn from them. So, some of my friends, they're always innovating in domino tricks, and it blows our mind like how much you can really innovate with dominoes. It seems so simple, like it's just a domino falling, but there's actually probably thousands of tricks that you can make with them. So, after watching so many videos, you always get a little bit inspired to innovate a little bit more or try something new and, shift the domino a little, see what happens, do some tests, and then later you'll have a brand new domino trick. And I think that's pretty sweet.
Now, how do you make a decision then? I imagine it's a different experience doing something, for a client, something that you're kind of paid to do that needs to definitely work, as opposed to doing a video for yourself, like a million subscriber video or, something that you're trying on your own. Does that change your mindset as far as like doing more maybe risky tricks? Like there's some that are like, I can't believe happen. Like a ball falls from like 50 feet up and hits something on the ground to continue the reaction, like these Rube Goldberg tricks. So does like the reason you're making the video kind of determine how far you push it?
Yeah, definitely. When I'm doing a corporate project, like it has to work no matter what. So I make sure that I don't use tricks that are risky. Every single trick that I try to do has to be reliable. And if it's not reliable, then I'll do some tests beforehand to make sure that it is reliable, or if it's not, then I'll just change up the trick. But when I'm doing a personal project for a YouTube video on my channel, that's a lot more laid back, and I like to get a little more risky with the tricks because usually the risky tricks are the more exciting tricks. If you play everything safe, and sometimes it can get kind of boring. So on my channel, I tend to get a little crazier with my setups, and that's what I think people enjoy the most.
Yeah, for sure. It's very exciting and almost like gut-wrenching sometimes when you see such like an extended trick, like something that takes a very long time for like either the ball to roll or whatever it may be, like a paper airplane maybe
Yeah.
to fly, which you've done to make it work. But it is like very exciting to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, it builds anticipation.
For sure. Now, when you have some of these setups that have actual audiences that people are standing around watching, what is that like?
Yeah, when we have a live audience, the pressure always like increases a lot. Especially like there's an event that we go to every year in Vermont at a museum, and the kids come in and they're literally standing maybe like 1 foot or 1.5 feet away from the dominoes all the way around. And it's always super scary because they could just knock down the dominoes because they're so close. And there's really no like barrier. There's like a little rope, like a roped off area around the setup, but there's no actual like physical barrier that blocks the dominoes. So, live events, you got to be careful of the crowd because you never know what they're going to do. And then also, it's like you don't want the dominoes to fail in front of an audience because that's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience, but it makes it more fun in a way, especially afterward, because then you get to talk to the audience, you get to, just interact with them and answer questions that they have. And a lot of them afterwards, you'll see them pick up the dominoes and start building too, which is so cool because, we're like inspiring the next generation of artists and domino builders around the world. So I love live events, although they are sometimes stressful.
I love that. Have you ever had a domino terrorist, like somebody that's walked in and messed up your progress?
Yeah, my dad has done that a lot.
What?
Well, not on purpose. Always
okay,
by accident.
all right.
By accident. We'll be like walking by or something, and then it just like knocks down. I think my sister actually knocked one down, like on purpose, when I was like a lot younger.
Right.
I won't forgive her for that now. I think that's it though.
Okay, so nobody at a live event?
Not yet. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Okay, hopefully that does not happen for you.
Yeah, we've had some close calls. Like Like some people are dropping their gloves like close to the dominoes, or there was a candy machine nearby at one of our events, and someone threw a candy at the setup, and we saw like little M&Ms on the ground next to the dominoes. I'm like, how did that get there?
Hmm.
Yeah, but nothing crazy that I can think of.
Okay, well, I hope that streak continues for you.
Yeah, me as well.
I wanted to talk about the actual YouTube channel as well, because you post every week. Is that right?
Yes, I post every Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern on Hevesh5.
Nice. Okay, so what went behind your decision to post every week? Because you've been keeping up with that for a long time. What made you decide to, post every week at 1 p.m. on Saturday as opposed to just kind of posting whenever you came up with content?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, posting on YouTube consistently is super important because viewers will come back every week if they know exactly when you will post. And also, YouTube likes channels that are consistent. They'll probably promote your channel more. That's just YouTube and its weird algorithm. But I made the decision, I think, back in 2016 to consistently post every Saturday at 1 o'clock. And I kind of chose this day because I get most of my views on Saturdays. That's just, people are out of work, kids are in school. That's just kind of the best day for me. And it's been going pretty well. I like to set a schedule. I feel like when I have a deadline, it pushes me a little bit more to like actually get things done. Otherwise, I could spend a month on a whole video if I wanted to make it perfect. But sometimes you have to just let go of those little tiny imperfections because chances are only you will notice that. A normal viewer won't notice that, and you just got to put out content. That's just this day and age. You got to put out content every week, or some people even do it every day, which I personally can't because dominoes take so long to build. But it's definitely important to be consistent, especially when you're posting online.
Right. You mentioned perfectionism, which is something that I think we all struggle with to one degree or another. Do you have any other types of resistances or things that get into your head or maybe try to hold you back?
Yeah, sometimes I'll be building a setup and I'll like get too hard on myself on like how good the setup is. Like if I don't innovate enough or if I haven't like done something that's like spectacular, I'll be like, this is not Hevesh5 quality. What am I doing? And sometimes I'm like way too hard on myself and I think that every trick has to be like amazing when really it's like sometimes I just need to relax and have fun with it and just build like I would be building as a little 9-year-old when I first started and see what happens. And I always have to remember the joy from building dominoes and not think of it as like it's like this big thing that you have to amaze everyone and it's gonna like change lives. You know what I mean?
Right. You have to get back to the roots of what made it so exciting for you and so appealing to you in the first place, and realize that, like, I guess your audience is there not necessarily to see the next coolest thing. While it is cool to see something different or something new, you don't have to do that every time. Like, I mean, I watch your videos for like kind of the soothing aspect of like it tickles my brain to watch these dominoes fall, and just realize that, not everybody's out there to see, oh, this is not Hevesh5 quality.
Yeah, exactly.
You also have other ways of expressing yourself, which I saw in your recent video of, I forget who you did it for, but you showed all the different things that inspire you and things that you do, like family, and you also play piano and percussion. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So how often do you get to do music?
So I played percussion all throughout like fifth grade through high school, but then I kind of stopped. So to be honest, I don't play percussion that much right now. I do play piano in my free time. I have a keyboard in my house. I'm always playing piano here and there just for fun, but it's not like I'm part of a band. I can't commit to anything.
But it's still something that you get to in your spare time?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to play piano more often than I do. Sometimes I just kind of forget, but piano is there for me as kind of like an outlet when I just need to relax and I need to like take a break from work. I can just play a song. So I'll play like, I don't know, this is maybe bad, maybe like once a week.
Hey, anything's good.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine that having a full-time YouTube channel, and especially when your content takes so long to make, that you don't have too much time to get to other creative passions or to other things. So, are there other methods that you use to balance your time so that you can also have a life?
Right. Yeah, I try to build in time to get exercise. Like that's kind of my form of like relaxing. Like I do rock climbing, so I'll try to go to the rock climbing gym at least twice or three times a week if I can. And I sometimes I go with friends too, so they can like belay me and hold the rope. So it's like a social thing and an exercise thing that I really enjoy. But I think it's all a matter of just building it into your schedule. I have a planner that I use and I'm so detailed with how I use it. Like every single day I have like a little to-do list with like con calls and like tasks that I have to do in video editing and building. And then I'll literally pencil in like go to the gym on Thursday when it's Monday. So I know like I can plan for that to happen.
Hmm.
And that way I'm not like, oh, when am I going to go to the gym? I need to make room today. It's like, no, I'm making room like 3 days in advance. Like, this is happening. It's in my agenda book. I penciled it in. So you're not backing out now. So I think it's just a matter of like planning and following through with it because to me personally, I do think it's very important to make room for things that don't involve work. So like a work-life balance is I think that's key for longevity in general. Because if you're just working yourself 24/7, then you might burn out, and that's never good. If I stop liking dominoes, then like everything's gone. Yeah, I'm always trying to find ways and making room and being okay with putting aside time for myself. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, it's so key to take time for yourself, but also to plan out kind of self-care.
Right.
And yeah, putting it in your planner on Monday for Thursday, also like kind of puts that accountability in there. Like, okay, it's on paper, I got to do it on Thursday.
Yep.
You can also like plan it out. What other things do you plan out on your planner? Like, do you have the things that you need to make as well as like kind of your scheduling?
I have like probably four or five different like planner type things. My first one is my agenda book, which is a physical like paperback agenda book, and that's more of my like to-do list day to day. It also has I'm looking at it right now, like it has like rock climbing, it says like going to dinner with a friend, it says con calls, it says edit a video, just like little reminders that I have editing, and then I have a Google spreadsheet with my video calendar, which shows the date of every Saturday and what video I plan to post, as well as videos that have already been filmed and just need to be edited. And then I have a calendar, an online Google Docs calendar that I share with my dad because he's my business manager. And that shows all of the projects that are going on. Like if I'm traveling on a certain date, then it'll say like from this date to this date, like Disney project, blah, blah, blah. And then I also have important dates like Christmas and then doctor's appointments. And I have all my con calls listed on that calendar as well. So it's kind of like a mix of things. I also have a whiteboard that shows like what videos I should film and then videos that I should edit for the month, which I've just started doing that, so I don't know if it's like part of my schedule yet. And then I have an online Google Calendar for my building schedule, like what I'm going to be building this week and when it's going to be toppled.
Nice. Yeah, like having that down, and even if it is four different things, like knowing that It's all kind of down there. It can definitely ease the mind.
Yeah.
Instead of making this more like ethereal thing that, oh, when's this going to happen?
Right. I love lists. I love agenda books. I'm always using them.
Yeah, they're key. Well, before we get to the final push, what are the plans for Hevesh5 in the future for you as a creative person, as a domino artist, and where do you see this whole thing going?
I would love to build a domino studio, like a studio designed just for dominoes with perfect flooring and an overhead rig for cameras and movable walls and like maybe like stadium seating for live events. And then we'd have like domino builders full-time on site as part of like the Hevesh5 domino agency. So it would kind of be like a design team, but with domino artists. And we'd carry out projects for companies and make videos and do all that. And I think it would be like the place to go for dominoes. Like if you need a domino video or anything related to dominoes, like this is the place.
Wow, that is a plan for sure. I love that. I can totally see that happening as well.
Yeah, I'd love to make that happen.
Oh, good for you. Well, I anticipate that happening, and I'm looking forward to that, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Lily, it is time for the final push, and that's where I ask you to reach through the microphone and grab the shoulder of one of the listeners that you've already really inspired today, and just give them your best final words of advice and really push them to pursue their own creative passions, whatever they may be.
You have to fight for your creative life. Sometimes it's hard when you have a job that doesn't allow you to do that, but it's very important and almost essential, at least for my sanity, to make time for doing whatever you love doing. And if that means, staying up 1 hour later or just penciling it in as like a certain time and making it part of your schedule, do it. You gotta do what you love. You gotta do what makes you happy, because I know it sounds like super cheesy, but like life is very short, and I was very fortunate as a child to find what I liked when I was young, and I had time to pursue that passion. But now, for anyone who is an adult listening, it's just something that you got to do to make sure that you keep your sanity. You have an outlet that you can use to calm yourself down, that gives you joy, and that you can share with others. And I think everyone has a creative passion. They just might not know they have it because they haven't had the time to do it. But if you can make that time in any way, maybe just stop watching Netflix for one season, you can see what happens, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely, yeah. Find that time and fight for your creative passion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lily, thank you so much for coming on this show today. Your videos are awesome, and you are a very inspiring individual, and you've already accomplished so much, and I can't wait to see where things go for you. And I think they're going to go quickly, and I think they are going to, like you said before, it's going to be a domino effect, and I can't wait to see where you end up.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Oh,
of course. And for everybody listening, you can find Lily on her website, Hevesh5.com. That's Hevesh, the number 5.com. On YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, she is Hevesh5, and we'll have that all linked up at today's show notes page, yourcreativepush.com/Hevesh5. Lily, thanks again.
Thank you.
Huge thank you to Lily once again for coming on this show. Don't forget that she's only 20. And she has already created a career out of something that she loved to do, something that she was doing anyway, and she seized the opportunity when it came to her. And I loved how wise she was as well. She really knows herself, and she realizes that she needs to schedule things out in the beginning of her busy week, and then also her plans for the future. That whole thing that she talked about at the end with the studio, it was breathtaking to hear somebody who has already received so much success at such a young age, who is already doing her own thing, but she sees the future. She sees something that doesn't exist that she wants to exist, this studio, and she's going to go for it. Stadium seating for Domino Art. I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to see what comes from it. On our next episode, we have Ahmed Eldouri. Ahmed is an artist who has a popular YouTube channel in which he shares his insights about art, design, painting, and all things entertainment. And he also has done something very unique with his Patreon, which we talk about at length in the episode, as well as some of the interesting things that he has done to get past his resistances. A really great episode for you next week. If you want to find out more about Ahmed or check out his art, you can head to ahmedaldoori.com. That's AhmedAldOori.com. On YouTube, he is Ahmed Aldoori. On Instagram, he is Ahmed Aldoori_art. Or even easier, you can get to all of that stuff at today's show notes page, as well as everything we talked about with Lily at yourcreativepush.com/321. But that is all I've got for you today, so hopefully you were inspired to go and get your work done, so go and get it done. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful creative week, and we will see you next time. Bye. Never miss a push. Head to yourcreativepush.com/subscribe to find the easiest way for you to subscribe to the podcast.